Debby has been a stubborn storm with unrelenting wind and rain, and unfortunately, it's not over yet.
Even though it's not raining, the wind's not blowing, there's still a lot of danger from this moving water.
At 7, the Carolinas still reeling from Debby's impact, with the Charlotte area seeing the most rain we've had in 4 years.
Meantime, the impact's even more devastating farther east. One person died when a tornado touched down in Wilson County, damaging homes in the area and tearing the roof off a middle school. Thankfully, no children were in that school when the storm hit.
Well, thanks for joining us for the news now at 7. I'm Colin Mayfield.
And I'm Vanessa Rufus. Our crews have been tracking Debby's impact all day long, working to keep your family safe.
Let's get to the Weather Center right now with Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. And Brad, what's the latest now?
Debbie's not done with us yet. It's still sitting just east of Charlotte, basically about 45 miles east of us, and you can see the rotation. Now, the bands aren't as strong as they were this morning, but again, we're saturated. Most areas have seen 4 to 7 inches, in some cases 9 inches of rain. And so even though this is light to moderate rain, it's falling on some saturated soils, so it's not allowing for the water to recede quite a bit like we would expect with the rain stopping. But there's still some showers out there, some breaks in between. It's going to be rainy, misty, and drizzly through the rest of the evening, even into early tomorrow morning before we see this move out. The rainfall estimates, again, some spots as little as 2 to 3 inches, but we've seen several reports. I've gotten backyard gauges coming in around 9 inches, even in and around Charlotte. Some of the official reporting stations, well over 4 inches of rain. And again, that's a rare feat for Charlotte. A daily rainfall amount of 4 inches or higher has only happened 20 times since 1878. Today is the 21st time that has happened. We're sitting at 4.17. That is the most since 2020, when we had that big November event with Ada, which is a tropical system, but we're not too far away. In fact, we're still going to add to this because the official amount won't come in until midnight. It's a midnight to midnight number for the daytime total. So tonight we will see scattered showers lingering on and off into the overnight hours. Eventually tomorrow morning, yeah, a much different day. The sunshine returns, dry weather, warm temperatures coming up. We're going to talk about better weather ahead and when we're going to see those temperatures maybe cool a little bit back into the 80s next week.
All right, Brad, thank you. Today, all throughout the Charlotte area, though, we saw scenes just like this. Areas inundated with flooding on the roads, and cars still trying to get through. WCNC Charlotte's Jesse Pierre is in South Charlotte with the latest for us.
You know, a lot of the problem areas I saw were really near creeks, just like this one you see behind me, which after several hours of rain, some of them overflowing onto the roadways. This road right behind me, Choate Circle, right off of Carowinds Boulevard, was actually blocked off on both sides until just about an hour ago because there was so much water on that roadway. Now, things much lighter, the conditions much more improved now than earlier today. The rain was pretty steady for most of the day in the Queen City. Some creeks reaching their limits and overflowing. Several roadways were blocked off because of the runoff. This park in West Charlotte completely flooded. In some areas with power lines knocked down, some folks were left without power for several hours.
But we work from home, so we had to make sure we had all of our computers and everything charged up. We have our router on a battery backup, so we would have internet for the couple hours. I think we lost power for like 4 or 5 hours.
It's hard to miss the impact of Debby after hours of rain fell, leaving several homes surrounded by water. This is a mobile home park in West Charlotte. The National Guard was there to assist residents. Folks who live here say the creek behind the homes flooded. I spoke to people across Charlotte who shared what they experienced during the storms, some not surprised by the number of flooded roads.
Every time that it rains, it floods like this. We always get a notification that to not drive through there, not drive through the water. But this is by far the worst I've ever seen it. But it does this every time.
Now the rain much lighter now, so if you are out on the road, you still want to make sure you're careful because it doesn't take much water for you to lose control of your vehicle. So again, be vigilant, take your time, and yes, make sure you're careful out on the road. Sending it back to you live in Still Creek, Jesse Pierre, WCNC Charlotte.
Yeah, always a good reminder, Jesse. Thank you. Meanwhile, this video giving us a first look at the first day in Rock Hill. That bus driver had to navigate flooded streets. He wasn't the only one, though, to try and get children to and from school safely.
WCNC Charlotte's Anna King joining us live from Rock Hill. And Anna, you spoke with some frustrated parents and the school district about this decision to have school.
That's right, I did. Earlier today, there was a long line of parents sitting here in rain and high water waiting to pick their children up from school, and I managed to speak to a few of them, many telling me that they thought the school district's decision to stay open was irresponsible and unsafe. Now, luckily here, the rain has subsided, but here's a look at what things looks like out here earlier today. Just sitting water that students had to drive through, in addition to parents, bus drivers, and people trying to get to work. Multiple roads across the city were closed off, a major one being Dave Lau Boulevard. Traffic was detoured there for hours as officials waited for conditions there to be safe for drivers. And with multiple road closures and flooding, parents told me today this could have been tragic.
I think the district needs to seriously take things like this into consideration, especially with teens driving. And, you know, it's not just the buses and the parents that they need to worry about. It's the kids also that need to be taken into consideration.
Now, the school district told us they consulted Perry Weather Service as well as local emergency officials to form the superintendent's decision to stay open. And I also managed to speak to York County Emergency Management, who asked us to remind everyone not to move those cones and barriers on roads where water may still be sitting. Live here in Rock Hill, Anna King, WCNC Charlotte.
Well, thanks, Anna. Let's get an update from Charlotte Douglas, where travelers are dealing with more headaches today. Right now, as we speak, more than 750 flights are delayed. More than 24 are canceled.
And some school districts are changing plans because of the weather tomorrow. Stanley County and Rowan Salisbury schools are canceling classes. Chesterfield is going remote, and Chester is on a 2-hour delay.
Well, a lot of people have been dealing with power outages all day even. According to Duke Energy, the Charlotte area dealing with 17,000 outages at this hour.
We do want to take a moment to thank everyone for sending in those videos and pictures throughout the day, too.
Yeah, remember, all of this is important information that helps us try and keep your neighbors safe at home.
So if it is safe to do so, please send us photos and videos. You can use the Near Me feature inside the WCNC Charlotte mobile app to do so.
Still to come here at 7, we head to Union County. Our crew's there, joining us live from the latest with emergency officials.
And Tropical Depression Debby just to our east by about 45 miles, pushing to the north towards Greensboro. Coming up, I'll show you when the sunny skies and drier air move back in.
And as we head to break, we want to take a look at the medal count. Team USA leading the way with 103 tonight. China coming in second with
Union County, just one of the areas feeling the impacts of Debby today, with many of you running into impassable roads, just like what we're seeing here.
Yes, WCNC Charlotte's Miles Harris has been in the area all day, hearing from emergency officials tonight. How's it looking right now, Miles?
Yeah, well, Colin and Vanessa, one of the areas of concern for Union County officials deal with the roadways in those conditions. And let me give you an example of exactly what we're talking about here. So we're in Waxhaw here. This is Newtown Road. And if you take a look to the left here, you can see a lot of that flooding, a lot of that heavy water here onto the left side of the road. But if you take a look here, you can still see it's spilling its way onto the roadway, making a lot of issues for drivers and travelers out here in this area. Now, if you're curious on just how high the water is here, take a look at this guardrail here. You can still see just how high that water stands, and even past that guardrail, you can see that electric box to the left of the roadway here. Well, just a couple of hours ago, that electric box was barely visible. Now, the strong storms and heavy rain are hitting Union County in a number of ways, and it's more than just the flooding. Monroe first responders were called to action early this morning to respond to a tree that fell into a power line and then smashed into the side of a car. Now, here are some of the images from that incident this morning. Now, it happened on a secret shortcut road in Monroe, and it's also important to note here that the woman that was inside of that vehicle was able to get out of her car safely. Now, Andrew Ansley with Union County Emergency Management told me that residents really need to heed warnings and, if possible, stay off some of these roadways.
We focus a lot on trying to keep the community safe, trying to keep the community from evading barricades, driving around them, encouraging people to stay off the road if they can. I mean, this storm is not something that popped up last night. So this is, this has been well in the media for days.
Now, Andrew also told us that as of the power outages in Union County, as of about 4 o'clock this afternoon, they still dealt with about 500 customers that were without power. Now, we have seen that number go down, but that also goes on top of the 20-plus road closures that are also impacting Union County. Most of those coming from that weather that we have seen from Debby. But again, obviously a lot of concerns for people making sure that they're staying off these roadways, as we've seen some cars making their way around here. But again, those what those barricades are here for, to keep people off these roadways until that water completely removes itself from this road as well. But reporting live here in Union County, Miles Harris, WCNC Charlotte.
Wow, Miles, those are some stunning images, particularly the one where the car is pushing through the water as it's flowing.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, Brad.
That makes me cringe inside when I see that, because that is exactly what you should not do. That water, first of all, is moving way too quick. It takes about 6 inches of water to sweep you off your feet, a foot to take a whole SUV off its tires. And again, that's if the road's even there, and you can't tell if the road is there. So please, please do not do that. The remnants of Debby continue to push off to the north. You can see by tomorrow it'll be long gone. It will accelerate. It's been sitting over the Carolinas for most of the week. It's slowly been drifting north. Still some bands to rotate through. Even on the south side, we've seen some bands form down there. So the rain's going to stay with us. It's just scattered and lighter than it was earlier today. Really, right after midnight, that heavy rain band came right over us and just dumped. I mean, I heard it all night long. It was, I didn't sleep much as it was because of all the weather going on, but it was tough to sleep with the noise of the rain hitting the house with the wind-blown rain last night. But tomorrow will be a better day. Now, the rainfall totals, they're still coming in again. By midnight, we'll have an official 24-hour number. Charlotte, 4.17. That is a crazy high, one of the all-time highest we've seen here in the Queen City. In fact, if you look at the top 10 wettest calendar days, that's Hurricane Danny there, by the way. 4.52 gets you into the top 10. We're not too far away from that. So we're definitely going to be in the top 20 or 15 for sure. But most of these have been tropical events late in the season. A couple of these were stalled cold fronts, but oftentimes it is the tropical systems that does this to us. So lingering showers and downpours overnight, that's your impact. Still a lot of creeks and streams. Remember, even when the rain stops, all this water goes into a ditch, then it goes into a creek, goes into a bigger creek, and eventually feeds into a river and a lake. Those will take time to rise as everything drains off into those tributaries. So just be cautious. We'll likely see water rising in some of the bigger bodies of water even into the weekend. So for boating plans, just be wary of that. You can see we're going to definitely have some slow recovery from the power outages. Power crews can't go out when it's too windy, so it's been a tough go to get out and kind of clean up the mess out there from the trees down. There is a cold front that's going to sweep in later this weekend. That eventually will push all rain out here. We're not going to be completely dry this weekend, but the chances are 20-30%. Kind of your typical summer pattern for your Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you see that 20% time to dry out. But next week, we're right back to this wet pattern. I get a lot of questions about the drought. The drought was slowly whittled away over the last 3-4 weeks because of rain. Today's obviously going to squash what's left of it. And so by next week's drought update, we're likely not going to see any drought, especially in North Carolina. Now, we're not done in the tropics. Remember, we're entering just now the peak of the season. We've got a 40% chance of development out here in the southern Atlantic. So we're going to keep a close eye on that because we likely could have another system to track. It's not likely going to head our way, but it's still just too early to see where the path is going to be. But it's always a reminder, make sure you're paying attention to the tropics. August, September, October here in the Carolinas. This weekend, though, better weather. 91 on Saturday, really humid with all the moisture. 87 as we go into Sunday. Another thing to do the next couple of days in this weekend, any standing water in buckets, flower pots, whatever, dump them out. There is going to be a bumper crop of mosquitoes by this time next week because of all the rain we saw in the last 24 hours. Low 90s tomorrow, super hot and humid, especially with all that moisture underground. Remember, the sun's going to be going into evaporation. That evaporation is going to cause the humidity increase, so a really muggy day for your Friday. And tomorrow you see the rain really just scattered or isolated at best. Temperatures back near 90. As we look at the 7-day forecast, we'll show you it's definitely a better pattern going into the weekend. Your Guy Roofing 7-day forecast, low 90s for Friday and Saturday. Next week, though, temperatures in the 80s as we get some slightly cooler air. Let's go 10 days into the future as we get later into August. Temperatures actually not bad, low to mid 80s as we see some cooler temperatures, but also notice the chance for scattered showers and storms will likely be with us for most of next week into next weekend.
All right, Brad, thank you. And be sure to subscribe to the WCNC Charlotte Weather IQ YouTube channel. We'll be streaming live Debby updates there throughout the evening. Just take out your phone, scan the QR code there on the screen to get that.
Well, you see what's on your screen right now. Spoiler alert, we do have an update on the Olympic Games, so we'll give you a moment.
Yeah, if you want to wait in prime time, we'll give you that time. Turn your TV down right now. We've got to give you congratulations, though, as you do so. Charlotte's own Anna Cockrell sharing silver in the 400-meter hurdles final, coming in second to American star Sydney McLaughlin-Liveroni, who broke her own world record.
That was a very exciting race to watch. One of the big headlines, there will not be 3 gold medals for Noah Lyles, though. The 100-meter gold medalist earned bronze in the 200-meter final, and then afterwards, Lyles told NBC he tested positive for COVID days ago. His American teammate, Kenny Bendarek, took silver, and Botswana's Letsile Tebogo took gold.
Meanwhile, on the basketball court, Team USA one step away from another gold medal after beating Serbia in the semifinal. Charlotte's own Steph Curry leading the way with 36. They will face off against France in the gold medal game Saturday night. And tonight on the Olympic Zone, some big changes coming to a multifaceted event after Paris. The American Ninja Warrior-like addition to the pentathlon that's ahead at 7:30.
Ooh, that looks exciting. Oh, so many changes I can get behind.
Yeah.
We also have much more to talk about this half hour here. Inspired to greatness at a young age and then going on to break records of his own ahead, the icon who moved, Harrison Dillard, to break barriers at the Olympic Games. Some of the results that we're seeing from the U.S. team.
I mean, we've now won the 1500 meter. We could win the 200. We won the 400. We've won the 100 meter. So this is an unprecedented time for track and field.